Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today is the 10th of March, episode number 115, and I'm with Sridhar Tityalaji as we bring you, as always, daily global insights. Sridharji, welcome to the channel, and I would like to share with you some of the main points of today's news, sir.
Go ahead. Good morning and welcome to everybody for the March 10th edition of the DGI.
The United States fast-track stalled Afghan peace process, share power with Taliban or bear costs, Blinken tells Ashraf Ghani, the Prime Minister of Afghanistan. Suga Modi commit to open Indo Pacific ahead of Quad talks on Friday. Tokyo Olympics to ban foreign spectators as a COVID precaution, and the Nasdaq roars back 3.6% for its best day in 4 months. S&P 500 adds more than 1%. And United States news, Biden takes US national security strategy to the left with nods to Trump. The United States should rethink Taiwan's strategic ambiguity, according to the Indo Pacific chief. Our greatest strategic threat. US commander seeks additional 4.7 billion funding to confront China. US plans to deploy long-range missiles in Asia to deter our greatest strategic threat. So this action in Indo-China, Indo-Pacific area suddenly now is heating up, isn't it, sir?
Well, I think that probably the Biden administration is being, what shall I say, educated and enlightened. Contrary to the Obama 1, Obama 2, the strategic roadmap has changed in Indo-Pacific and South China Sea and East China Sea in a very dramatic manner. When Obama-Biden left, Hong Kong was just about to simmer. Hong Kong simmered over. Now Hong Kong is almost done as far as China is concerned, as far as the rest of the world is concerned. And there has been a number of skirmishes in the Indo-Pacific and South China Sea, but Trump administration has put a deterrent around it. So clearly, the Phil Adam, I think it's Phil Adamson or the general. Tell you what's his. Just one moment. His name is Phil Davidson. Phil Davidson is the Indo-Pacific, the Rear Admiral, Admiral Phil Davidson has basically made a very strong plea that he needs, close to $5 billion. Guam is very important, and the entire South Pacific and South China Sea is a very, very critical asset. And United States' future is in Southeast Asia and South Asia. So a deterrence is required, and you cannot kind of stay the course with present resources, and an integrated approach need to be developed in terms of the military capabilities. I think we covered this in the first chain, that they were planning to build first chain. This is second chain. Guam is second chain.
Now, the United States fast-track stalled Afghan peace process. It says to share power with Taliban or bear the cost of the managing U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Sridharji, for our viewers' sake, can you please walk us through the history of this? And also, there is going to be a 6-country meeting, perhaps in Turkey. I don't know if all the countries have accepted to participate there or not. So, what are your thoughts about this whole Afghan problem, sir?
Afghan problem is a problem that everybody thinks should go away because there's no solution to the problem. Perhaps that is the solution. No solution to the problem is the solution to Afghan problem. I think Trump recognized in his 4 years that his local ambassador, I think Zalmay Khalilzad, who has been there for quite some time, he was initially in Iraq, post the Iraq war, and he has been advising the White House and so on. And what they realized is that it has only cost more lives, and it's a kind of an elephant that seems to be draining more and more money and resource commitments, and then the lives of the U.S. soldiers. Then there never is an agreement between the Taliban, who do rule quite a large chunk of Afghanistan, who are allied with the Pakistanis. So basically, Trump began to say, we are going to pull everybody out. Let these guys sort out the mess by themselves. Obviously, to some extent that got delayed with elections and other things. And in fact, Trump went on to say the last troops would be coming out. Then the elections occurred, and then you have clearly again, the ambassador seems to have won the minds of the people. So there was what you call an impasse, and now that strategy has come up, and the strategy says that effectively that the Taliban wants to share power with the present regime. So the proposal on the table is that you share power and you spend money, because this is the only way that you rule this part, that fellow rules that part, and then you guys can get along with each other. It sounds very simplistic, but it's not going to work. So then you have, okay, to maintain harmony, we need some strategic stakeholders. So who do you bring? Pakistan says, I'm a strategic stakeholder. Iran says, I'm the border, so I'm a strategic stakeholder. Russia says, I have a long history, I'm a strategic. So in other words, initial stakeholder stuff, India was not included, notwithstanding the fact India has been investing both on the human resources side as well as on the healthcare side, as well as some of the other projects. So US somehow got India into this tango, and so you have these 6 nations. And basically, it is a 5-point plan which Blinken has come up with. The first meeting is yet to occur, but the plan has been laid out, which effectively says these 4 or 5 things that we outlined. Whether it will come to any conclusion remains a mystery, and whether the rest of the troops will stay or will get out, because the plan has got delayed, but the plan has not been cancelled. So in other words, the 3,500 people, they said, let's just wait for this plan to be formalized before you guys leave. So in other words, they're saying that there will be no further troops of U.S. troops in the Afghan soil. In summary, it is one of the biggest unmitigated disasters that United States got itself entangled into, costing anything between $1 trillion to $3 trillion.
On illegal immigration, and this has been in front and center of the United States news. Now, there is an observation that illegal immigration should not be included in the congressional count. Sir, I'm assuming what you mean by this is that when the redistricting happens for various congressional districts, that they should not take into account the illegal population in that particular district. To me, it seems black and white. If you are a green card holder, you cannot vote. If you're an illegal, you cannot vote in the United States. Therefore, why should they be counted when it comes to redistricting, sir?
Well, this is the great, what you call, reorganization of the United States and United States Constitution. United States Constitution very specifically points out the people of the land, the people who are the citizens of the country, make decisions around how the law of the land is established and governed within United States. But it seems to be more a political ploy, which is to say, legal or illegal, you are here, so you have a voice. So it seems to legitimize, okay? It seems like a process whereby you legitimize these guys' existence, and basically saying there's nothing called as illegal. It's only a matter of time before you get legalized or before you get your formal documents. Those who have entered the country can stay in the country. You can come in as a tourist and you can stay back and say, look, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay here. Then there's no rule. For the new Biden administration policy, there is no rule. Formally or informally, you have entered the country, you stay. So they are saying because of this position that we have taken through the executive order, it's important that these people are counted in the redistricting that is happening, and therefore, based on the population, you decide the number of votes.
Well, this is going to hit the proverbial rotating mechanism on the ceiling. I can tell you what's happening around the country. Illegal border crossings have hit more than 101,500 in February. Arizona, Montana are taking legal action against the Biden administration regarding the new immigration and customs regulations. Florida Attorney General is going to take legal action against Biden administration for releasing dangerous criminal aliens. I'm going to put all these things together, sir, and then you can comment on this. And the Department of Homeland Security nominee, Alejandro Mayorkas, is going to testify before Congress amidst all this border surge. So this is uncontrolled going on right now. Sir, what are your thoughts, and why is this administration in such a hurry?
Yeah. Sorry, just to correct, I said number of votes in the last one. It's actually number of seats.
Number of seats. Yeah, right.
Okay, I stand corrected. So now this whole grouping is around illegal immigration, right? So we had sporadic incidents. So we decriminalized the borders. We allowed people to come in. And in fact, there were these tents where they said they're all waiting for Mr. Biden to come, and Mr. Biden has already extended invitation for all the people to come. So we decriminalized. We moved from detain and deport to retain and release. So therefore, the floodgates opened. The floodgates are open, and basically what was supposed to be an initial trickle has now moved into a flood. So it is now spreading around the border, and we were talking about 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 a week, or even a day on a peak day. So now February is 102,000 people have come in. Three major problems. COVID-19, many of them are not being tested. They're released into the community. Criminals, as was the case in Florida, there is no mechanism to deport them. And three is there is no testing. So there is no what you call detailed analysis of who these types of people are. And so they are being led into the kind of community. Quite a few of them are children, and this children shelter issue came up as a result of the migration. So the border patrol is unable to deal with this whole volume of traffic that is coming in. So you are now beginning to see, it started with Texas. We covered that yesterday. Now it is Arizona and Montana. Then we are also having Florida. In Florida, they have a different problem. People who are illegal aliens with criminal record, who are supposed to be in jail, they are now being released rather than being deported. So Florida has a problem which is different, slightly different to the rest of the other people. Rest of the people, you have the floodgates coming in. So Alejandro Mayorkas has been asked to come and present to the Senate. What the hell are you doing? He's the Department of Homeland Security. What the hell is he going to say? Well, we have formalized. This is a law now through executive order unless it is altered. So we have a problem, which is a major problem for the national security of the country as a result of these fellows trickling in. Remember the social burden. In the latest stimulus, the illegal aliens also get a pay. So are these guys going to get a payout as a result? Well, human compassion says, having come in, you should give them money. You should give them health care. You should put them into school. You should get them into accommodation. So more stimulus is to come as the number of these illegals grow.
Now, there's also a question regarding President Biden's health, isn't it? He's yet to address a full press conference. They've had some instances where the access got cut off when he was about to answer a question and so on. And now on Friday, there's going to be a meeting, even if it's a teleconference between the Quad heads. So all this, kind of gives rise to the question, is the president all right? And to make more interesting things more interesting, Biden is now adding two prominent big tech critics into the administration. Lina to head Federal Trade Commission. She is an anti-big tech person. And Tim Wu, W-U, who coined the term net neutrality, will be joining the National Economic Council. Sir, who is running the show now?
Who is running the show is an interesting question in terms of you made let me kind of add one more piece to it, which I'll do shortly. Who is running the show remains a question mark. As you correctly pointed out, that Biden has not yet given a press release. Everything is virtual meeting, very similar to the G7 meeting that was held a couple of weeks ago, hosted by Boris Johnson. That was just an address, virtual address. This will also be virtual address, and this will be a it'll be a bilateral or a meeting between two leaders. It's not a joint conference or something. This is the quad leaders talking to each other besides the quad meeting, right? So therefore, there's no press conference. It's just a virtual meet where they plan to cover 3-4 issues. So the question that you're asking is, yes, his health seems to be a problem because one of the reasons why, whatever the health reasons, they have just not allowed him to come and speak to the press. While this is looming, they have done a survey, and the survey points out now almost 50 to less than 50% of the people that Biden is unfit to rule United States. This is within 60 days of he assuming power. Okay, which also raises some questions around, what's happening in Washington D.C. Okay, so now you add another piece of item that has come out, which is and which is to say, hey, where's Janet Yellen? Is she in the Treasury or she's working remote? Because we don't see her. She attends some of the important meetings and also the Biden meetings, but we don't see her in the Treasury Department. This is being soft pedal given, Treasury Secretary is more powerful than the President of the United States. The two people who are very powerful, Treasury Secretary, and in fact, the Fed Chairman is the most powerful man. And then the Treasury Secretary is not too far because they effectively control everything and that's going on around the world. So to give you a roundabout answer on Biden is missing, Yellen is missing. Who runs the government? It looks like some of the critical members of the former Obama-Biden team, Obama-Biden, the previous administration, seems to be in control of the strategic agenda.
And in other news, stimulus bill is expected to be signed on Wednesday, and an increased child tax credit paves way for universal basic income. And this is a goal to expand entitlements. Just one explanation here. Universal basic income is a concept that was floated during the Democratic presidential primaries. 2 or 3 candidates were for it, wherein they said that $1,000 a month for everybody, regardless of whether they are employed or not. That was the premise on that. But this made sense if the United States could control the immigration coming into the borders, not when there is uncontrolled immigration, because then it will become like a magnet. This is my opinion, sir. I don't know what you think about it. Please take it away. Stimulus bill and universal basic income.
Stimulus bill is done. I think that it'll be released today. We covered extensively the pieces of what comprises of the stimulus bill. As far as the universal is concerned, if you have 4 children, you're guaranteed you will get tax credits to the extent of $1,200 to $1,000, depending on what age group they are in. So the number that you are talking about is accomplished. So the general theory is that the socialization of the country is well underway, and the tax credit simply implies that it's a payout. It's a monthly check that it's a payout. What's the consequences of that to the debt, and what's the consequences of that to the overall budget remains to be seen and remains to be quantified. But the fact is that this becomes the second most compelling or second most expansive social entitlement programs in U.S. history. Expansion into entitlements is a killer in the United States, as you know, from the budget point of view. So this will become the second largest expansive program in the U.S. history to be incorporated.
And in India-related news, India has so far vaccinated 2 million. Oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. India vaccinated 2 million people in just one day. That's very impressive, considering that now they are also on 24/7 in some areas. In fact, some of my family members have also been vaccinated. They said it was a very, very easy and quick process. So I tip my hat to the Modi administration for having pulled this off. Suga Modi commit to open Indo Pacific ahead of the Friday Quad Summit. India and Pakistan's latest peace deal sparks hope and doubt. Sir, what is the doubt part in this, sir? There is no hope. It's always a doubt. Pakistan never stays to its word.
I have no idea. I mean, what exactly is the strategic intent that is coming out of this, which is to say, we do a ceasefire, we stop firing at each other, but maybe we'll send a few more terrorists into the country, and then we rake up the issues in United States on CAA, Article 370. We rake up the human rights issues in Europe. We get the British Parliament to speak. This is the game. I mean, everybody knows that, Pakistan and India are never going to sit across each other and have a resolution. And as one prime minister mentioned, it's part of the problem because a part of the border. So therefore, we have a border and we have a problem. And so therefore, I think that to me, the doubt is around what exactly is the peace. There's no peace because there are a vast number of people who don't believe in having a peace, who believe that this country should not be, should not be what it is. It should be what Pakistan is. There's a term that they had given for that. So to me, I mean, it's just it's a mirage. That's all I can say. It's a mirage, and soon to kind of clear and clarity around the conflicts continuing to kind of loom.
Huawei is trying to make an entry again into India, and there is a lot of opposition to that. That it is being even considered is very questionable, considering that the United States has banned them outright. In fact, they have been trying to get the Huawei CFO, the daughter of Huawei CEO, into the United States to stand trial. And the criminality is of big magnitudes. Sir, why is this latest foray again by the Huawei into India? Is it just numbers?
Well, first and foremost, I think that the objective of Chinese is to dominate technology and use technology to control many countries where they do business with. India and EU, India and United States represent three of the largest clusters for them where this can be deployed. Remember, 5G technology has got what you call remote monitoring and remote management types of capabilities. They've used 5G in conjunction with AI in Uyghur to monitor their prisoners and remotely manage them. So therefore, I think what the proposition is like this, negotiators keep coming back. By the way, it's also both United States, they've also reached out to United States and they've also reached out to India at the same time. With regard to India, they say, hey, we have been doing business with you for 12 years. You kind of blocked us. Now you have got a spectrum, auction and you release parts of the spectrum. Why not you give us also a piece of the spectrum so we can deploy our technology? Remember, India had a gap when they decided to not use Huawei 5G capabilities, and Japan came in and augmented that gap or filled that gap. We covered that as well in our program. So I think that it is another way to say, let's get back and let's kind of start doing business. This is again this disengagement process, like just as you said, Pakistan. So we are disengaging because the reason is we are kind of slowing the tensions, stopping the rhetoric, and we want to do business again. So this 5G is that attempt.
In other Asian news, Tokyo Olympics is not going to have any foreign spectators because of the COVID, and they want to be very cautious about it. Japan and United States are going to single out China at their 2+2 meeting, and the Myanmar coup, the United States calls for maximum restraint by the junta. So what is the update latest on Myanmar, sir, and what are your thoughts about the US-Japan 2+2?
The situation with regard to Myanmar is the situation continues as is. The fight between the people on one side and the fight with the political on one side and the military on the other side. Military is trying to consolidate. They may even conduct an election in due course and hoist a government, which is the junta hoisted government. So I think that's where Myanmar is. Everybody is making a strategic restraint not to kind of polarize the situation. Well, China has interest in investments. Japan has interest in investments. Korea has interest in investments. Vietnam has interest in investments. ASEAN, it is part of. They don't want destability in amongst one of its own countries. So I think they're going to play it very carefully. Well, India has a strategic interest because India and junta have cooperated in especially around the border, skirmishes and some of these rebels from Myanmar coming in. Also, you have the Rohingya issue from Bangladesh, India, etc. So I would say it's a potpourri, and people are not going to stir the pot. So they're just going to be very careful as they move things forward. All US is saying is don't what you call polarize the situation, and treat everything with caution so that there's a solution at the end of the day.
And in Europe, the EU banking regulator has been hit by a suspected Chinese hackers. The EU aims to be an independent chip power with 20% global share, and at least 20 killed in suicide car bomb near a restaurant in Somalia capital, and dynamite explosions at army base in Equatorial Guinea kills at least 15 people. These are the news around Europe and Middle East and Africa. And the markets now, the Nasdaq yesterday roared back by 3.6% for its best day in 4 months. What is the reason for this enthusiasm, sir?
The reason for the enthusiasm is two things. One is the bond rates have stabilized. It came down by, it came well, it hit a peak of 1.62, came down to about 1.56, even 1.52 before it stabilized around that 1.52 mark. So that's both the short term and long term, 10-year and 30 years. So I think that's the first situation. There seems to be also kind of resolution around the energy. So the energy prices came down again, by a couple of dollars, both the WTI and the Brent crude. And the third reason is the stimulus. So these three things restored. And wherever there is, I told you we have a linear correlation between the bond rates and the tech stocks. So the tech stocks came roaring back, and that's why you saw a big swing in the Nasdaq relative to Dow or S&P. S&P has tech stocks, so S&P saw an uptick, and the Dow had a small kind of a blip in the very small blip in Dow. So that's the let's finish the markets. I want to come back and respond to one question that I didn't respond that you had asked. Yeah.
Disney claims that it has crossed 100 plus million mark subscribers, and Tesla has bounced back rather nicely, 19% uptick in its price. Sir, over to you. You can answer the unfinished question.
Right. So the unfinished question is you had asked about what is the US-Japan 2+2 years. The US-Japan 2+2 is very strategic. Suga and Mr. Biden, share a relationship going back when he was the vice president and Suga was the foreign minister. So therefore, I think that, so that's first and foremost is the relationship. Suga has been upfront that Taiwan is a red flag, which is to say anything that happens around Taiwan is a red flag. So therefore, I think the discussion is going to much more be focused around what exactly is going to be done on Taiwan. The last one is Suga has also raised the issue on Senkaku, whether there is going to be a silence or whether Japan should act in concert with the other players, because there's been a number of skirmishes and intrusions and violations in the Senkaku Island. So that is the third part of it. The fourth is COVID, which is the COVID and climate. Japan supports both a broader COVID and climate accord, and Japan is going to make its play. For 40 years, we have been working on this green stuff, but we haven't seen any positive impact on the GDP rather than a blip. But we still support the green movement, but you just justify to me as to what is the overall benefit that's going to come out. That's the scope of the discussions. And also, I think this 5G, AI, electronic batteries, then of course the light vehicles, all these things that were originally part of the Quad extension will come into discussion. So Japan can say, okay, are you guys in, or should we do something by ourselves? Because Japan is a long-term planners. They plan for 10 years and 20 years and 30 years. They just don't sit and kind of do knee-jerk tactical responses. This is the scope of the Japan-US 2+2 discussion.
And that brings us to a close of today's DGI. We look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Thanks once again for joining us, and namaskar.
Namaskar, and have a wonderful day. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow.